Good morning everyone. My name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. After the weekend, I welcome you all again to this live session. We will be discussing the Indian Express newspaper as usual. So let's start with our discussion. We will be talking about all these articles over here, and other than that, there will be a lot from the last weekend because Saturday Sunday we cannot come live. So we will be covering the Saturday Sunday's newspaper in this particular session. Okay. Now you'll be seeing that Saturday, Sunday and Monday, all these three newspapers have one thing is in common, that is basically your Syrian issue. Okay, so in Syria, the you can say the leader, supreme leader over here has been fled. Actually, he was forced to fled from the country, and the rebels has taken over the governance over here. So we'll be talking about that. Okay, and then we'll be going to the next one, that is your new oil fields bill. So we'll be talking about that. That bill has been passed in Rajya Sabha, and this bill seeks to amend the existing bill. Okay, so we'll be seeing that what are the changes they are looking for. Okay, after that we'll be talking about the alcohol at the Hornbill Festival. When we talk about this Hornbill Festival in the northeastern region, in Nagaland specifically, this is a prominent festival. Okay, and this is to make sure that all the tribal communities over there are coming together and basically putting forward their culture, and this is, you can say that, an umbrella festival for Nagaland, all the tribal communities which are living over there. Okay, so we will be talking about that festival. We will be seeing that why they are talking about this alcohol issue in the festival. Okay, so these three will be the highlights of the day, and after that we will be talking about other articles as well. Okay, here in the front page you can see surge to slow down 38% fall in the US student visa issued to Indians in the January to September this year. This, they are talking about the last January to September's data, and there will be more fall further, because when we are talking about the policies of Mr. Trump, we know that he has these policies with respect to the immigrants, tight policies with respect to the immigrants. So we will be seeing that in the future as well. Right now we are not going into this particular article because this is just telling you the number that there is the fall in the visa, okay, which has been given to the students. So obviously this is not very good news for the students who are willing to go outside and study over here. But anyways, this is not important right now. Now we'll be moving to the next one, that is, as rebels takes Damascus, Assad flees Syria, given asylum in Russia. That is the reports which are saying. Okay, so we will be talking about this article. Okay, in this article we will be covering that what are the different stakeholders, what is this war which is going on over there, why there was this opposition, and why there was these rebels, what is the role of the Kurdish militia which is over there, what is the role of Turkey when we are talking about in Syria, what is the role of USA and Russia in that. So we will be talking about all these aspects over here. Okay, now let's move further and start with the practice question. So the question was, which state is the largest producer of potatoes in India? West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat or Bihar? Okay, so UP is your answer, Uttar Pradesh is the largest one, and then it is West Bengal. Okay, so first is your UP and then it is West Bengal. Now before moving further, all our Mukherjee Nagar Drishti IAS classes has now shifted to Noida Sector 15, and we are launching a new batch over there for the ISGS Foundation. For Hindi medium, that will be on 9th of December 3 p.m. For English medium, that will be 12th December 6 p.m. Address is given over here, that is C171/2 Block A Sector 15 Noida. For any more information, you can call on this number, that is 9311406440. Other than that, at our center, that is Prayagraj, so we are coming up with UPSC Foundation course from 2nd of January 2025. It will be available in both Hindi as well as in English medium at different times. For Hindi medium it is 6 p.m. For English medium it is 5:30 p.m. Okay. Now I have already told you about the Sambhav 2025. This is an online initiative which is there on the website. Okay, wherein you will be given 10 prelims practice questions and the 2 mains practice questions, and you can trace your rank in the real time basis. So you can explore more from the website and join the initiative. Okay, now let's move further and start with the fact of the day. You know that we, every time we discuss this newspaper, we start with the fact of the day. We will be looking at some of the facts which can be important for you. Right now here we will be talking about two things. One is your Anna Chakra, okay, and second is scan. Now in examination they might go for the specifics, okay, but I highly doubt that they will go so much into details, because much details are not available with respect to it. But you should know that with respect to what this Anna Chakra and scan initiative has been launched, okay, that would be enough for your examination. So let's see. Union Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and New and Renewable Energy. Please remember that here New and Renewable Energy Minister was also over here, has launched Anna Chakra and the SCAN, that is Subsidy Claim Application for National Food Security Act, okay, NFSA portal, with the aim to modernize India's public distribution system. When we talk about the PDS system or the ration system, okay, so that particular system is in that regard they have launched these two initiatives, that is Anna Chakra and SCAN. Okay, SCAN is specifically for the subsidy claims, and when we are talking about Anna Chakra, that is, you know, to make it little bit easy or streamline the process. Now this will enhance the efficacy of the PDS supply chain, streamline the subsidy claims processes, and benefiting millions of the citizens reliant on the food security programs. So just know that it is related to your PDS system, Anna Chakra and SCAN. Now I will be telling you some specifics over here about Anna Chakra. If we talk about Anna Chakra, is a pioneering tool for optimizing the supply chain in the PDS. Now they are talking about the supply chain over here in the Anna Chakra. Like you can say, when we are talking the procurement, after that the transportation, distribution, all these things will be handled over here. Now it has been developed in collaboration with the World Food Program, that is WFP, and the Foundation for Innovation and Technology Transfer, that is FIIT, at IIT Delhi. Okay, this initiative employs advanced algorithm to identify optimal routes for the transportation of food grain. Now this is about the transportation. As I told you, this is related to your supply chain. So specifically they will be focusing on transportation, and one of the objective is to reduce the carbon emission as well. Okay, with respect to the vehicular emissions, they would try to reduce that. Okay, so that is one of the thing which is attached over here. Okay, we have seen that the Minister of New and Renewable Energy was also launching this initiative. Okay, now moving further, the next one, that is SCAN. The SCAN portal is designed to streamline the subsidy claims in the process. That Anna Chakra was for the transportation, Chakra, with that you can remember, that is transportation, and for SCAN, that is for the subsidy claims. Okay, so streamline the subsidy claims for the state under National Food Security Act, that is NFSA 2013. It modernized the PDS operation for better fund utilization, aligns with the government's tech initiative to reduce leakages and enhance food security for 80 crore people with the environmental and the economic benefits. Okay, so basically these two initiatives are with respect to PDS system. Anna Chakra is for transportation in the supply chain, and when we are talking about the SCAN, that is for the subsidy claims. Okay, so now let's move further. Constitutional Amendment 101st Constitutional Amendment, that is GST, that is something you should remember. There is nothing much to discuss. Goods and service tax is an indirect tax or the consumption tax used in India only on the supply of the goods and services. It is a comprehensive multi-stage destination based tax, comprehensive because it has subsumed most of the taxes which were earlier there. Okay, most of the indirect taxes which were there earlier, so it has subsumed all of them, and now there is only one indirect tax, that is your GST. Okay, except a few state tax. Yeah, there are some indirect tax which are available in the state when we are talking about the entertainment or the octroi tax, etc., which are still there in the states. Okay, for their own revenue generation. Okay, so that is there. Other than that, GST was recently in news with respect to the compensation cess. When this particular you can say initiative came, or the GST came, at that point of time various states were apprehensive, had some apprehensions that their revenue might be decreasing. Okay, so considering that, central government has said, if their revenue will be decreasing, we will be compensating you for a some period of time. Okay, so initially it was till 2022, and then it was increased till 2026. Okay, and now there is this you can say group of ministers which are basically you can say looking into these particular issues with respect to the compensation cess. Okay, now let's move further and start with the first article of the day, that is talking about the Damascus, that is talking about the Syria. Okay, now wow, what is the issue in Syria? In Syria, there is one which is your government. Okay, that was under Mr. Assad. Okay, so that is one thing. Then there is this opposition which is against this government. Now this government was supported by Russia and Iran. Now then there was this opposition who is against the government. They are basically your rebels which we are talking about right now. Okay, so these opposition rebels are there which are against the government, which wanted to topple the government and have their own, you can say, government over there. Now these opposition were initially, you can say, earlier it was supported by USA, but then USA actually, after their links with the Islamic states, etc. So USA has withdrawn from the support, and then USA started supporting the, you can say, Kurdish militia over there. Okay, there is this Kurdish militia which is there in the northern part of you can say Syria. Okay, and wherein USA started to support them. Okay, now there are three actors which were over here. One is your government, second is your opposition, third is your Kurdish militia. Kurdish militia as such does not have much to do with this issue right now. Okay, but USA is basically supporting the Kurdish militia. Okay, now USA is supporting it, but there is another player, that is Turkey. Turkey is against this particular militia because in their own country, in the Turkey itself, there is one branch of this Kurdish militia which is operating over there as well. So they are not very happy about it. Okay, so considering that also, you can say Turkey was against Kurdish militia. Okay, so now these many actors were acting in Syria, and because of it, since 2011, Syria has been under a constant civil war. Okay, most of the time the Assad's government has tried to suppress the opposition rebels activities over there. Okay, but still they had the control. Recently what has happened is that they have entered into the Homs over here, and then they have entered to Damascus, and then ultimately the Mr. Assad has to flee away from the country, and reports are saying that he has been given asylum in Russia. Okay, now this is the news. Now we will be going into the background. Before that, you can see the map over here. Now we are saying that Turkey, Iran and Russia, all of them are involved over here. So let's see how. This is Syria. This side you will be seeing that there is Mediterranean Sea. One you can say western boundary is with the Mediterranean Sea. Little bit southwest you can see we have Lebanon over here, and south of that we have Israel. You know that there is this one part over here, that is Golan Heights. Okay, which is Syrian territory which has been occupied by Israel. Okay, so that is Israel, then Lebanon, then you have Mediterranean Sea, and in the north you have Turkey. Okay, and this is the region where you will be finding the Kurdish militia. Okay, then in the east you will be finding Iraq, and in the south there is Jordan. Okay, now this is the location of your Syria. Now let's move further and let's see what is the issue right now. Assad regime fights for the survival as rebel advance on the Damascus. We have seen that has already happened, and rebel has taken control of that, and you can say Mr. Assad has to flee the country. Okay, now when we are talking about the president over here, that is the Syrian president Mr. Assad, the name is Bashar al-Assad. Okay, so you can remember this name, Bashar al-Assad. He has fled the country. He is the president over here. Now the control is with the opposition rebels. Okay, so that is the thing which has happened. You can go through these headings. Details are not important, but the name of the cities over here, that can be important, because there are various times when the conflict driven cities has been asked by UPSC. Okay, so here you can see Hama, Homs, and then Damascus. These are the city, and then this Aleppo. These are the cities from Syria. Okay, these are all given over here: Aleppo, Homs, Damascus. Okay, now let's see over here that Erdogan, there is a new reality in Syria. People will decide for its future. Now this is Turkey's president saying that the people will be deciding their future. Okay, now this is the president, or you can say Turkish president, who is against the Kurdish militia in the northern region. Okay, now the new reality in the neighboring Syria, where Turkey has long supported the opposition forces and carried out the incursion against the Kurdish forces that is regarded as terrorist. Now Turkey also support these opposition over here. Okay, we will be seeing that who is supporting whom, but remember that opposition over here was initially supported by USA, but then USA backed down, and then here Turkey is basically supporting them. If we are talking about the Assad's government was supported by Russia and Iran, and Kurdish militia is supported by, you can say, the USA. Okay, now Syrian rebels entered the suburbs of the city of Homs, opening the path to Damascus in a lightning advance as front line collapsed and the government forces battled to save President Bashar al-Assad. 24 years rule he has done in the Syria, and now he has fled the country. Okay, now Syria belongs to the Syrian with all its ethnic and sectarian and religious element. This is what the you can say statement of the Turkish president. Ankara for years has supported the Syrian opposition forces looking to oust the Iran and Russia backed Assad. Okay, Syrian Khurshid YPG militia, which is regarded as a terrorist group closely tied with the militant in Turkey who have fought a 40-year insurgency against the Turkish state. As I told you, this Kurdish militia, they have some kind of links which are going back into the Turkey as well, and that is why Turkey is opposing their presence in the region. Now here you can see when we are talking about the key players in the long running civil war. Okay, so as I told you, we will be discussing all the key players over here. So here you can say Syrian government. As I told you, the Syrian government is under the leadership of President Bashar al-Assad. Okay, and he has fled. Now he has controlled the area for a long time. Okay, for nearly 24 years. And now when we are talking about the issue started in 2011 when this Arab Spring has happened in this particular region. Then they wanted to topple this government as well. Okay, now here you can see Assad government clawed back much of the territory it lost to the rebels with the help of the Iran, Russia and Lebanon's Hezbollah. Okay, now why Hezbollah is helping? Because Hezbollah is supported by Iran. Okay, so that is why it is supporting Iran in this particular region as well. Now Syrian government led by Assad central to the protracted and devastating civil war has begun in 2011. As I told you, after the Arab Spring, that war has begun in this region. Now Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Now this is kind of an organization which started to begin over here after when the Syrian civil war started. Okay, after that there are various other you can say small organizations like Al-Nusra Front to fight the Assad forces, and they had the link with the Islamic states as well. And then when all these small organizations came together, they formed Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. You don't have to remember this name. Then coming to the United States, as I told you earlier, this was the you can say country which was supporting the opposition over here. Okay, now Obama administration initially supported the opposition group in their uprising against the government, providing weapons training with the limited effect. After the rise of the Islamic State in 2014, US forces fought the terrorist group with the airstrike and they started to assist the Kurdish forces. Okay, so as I told you, when they had the link with the Islamic states, then USA backed down. Now moving further, Trump withdraw from many of the forces from this region in 2019, but still there are 900 troops which are still available in Syria. Coming to the next one, that is Turkey. As I told you, Turkey is against the Syrian Kurdish militia. So this Kurdish militia is there in the northern region over here. When we are talking about this yellow part over here, this is basically controlled by the Kurdish militia. Now when we are talking about this particular red part over here, that was under the control of Syrian government, but now that has been taken by the rebels. Okay, earlier when we are talking about the rebel forces, they were limited to area of you can say Al-Bab, Aleppo and Idlib. These are three towns which you should remember the name, because there are UPSC has asked the question about that, and there are high chances that they might do it again in the future as well. Okay, and Damascus is the region right now which is under the you can say civil war. So this is about the Syria. Now coming to the next one, that is Russia. When we are talking about Russia, Russia and Syria has always been friends. Russia has been a loyal friend to Syria, and Russia has always helped them out. So basically the government over there was supported by Russia and Iran. Okay, so they have actually at times provided troops as well. Russian troops has been provided to Syria at times to fight the opposition rebels over here. Then Iran and Hezbollah, as I told you, Russia and Iran is supporting them. So Hezbollah is a proxy of Iran. So Hezbollah is also supporting here the the Syrian government. Syria is core part of Iran's axis of resistance. Now axis of resistance, please remember this particular word. When we are talking about the Middle East region, you know that there are various rebel groups which are available. One of them is Hamas, which is against Israel. Okay, so that is also supported by Iran. Then second is Houthis. These are in Yemen. Okay, Houthi rebels in Yemen, they are also supported by you can say Iran. Okay, and then there is this Hezbollah. Recently Hezbollah has been in news with respect to Iran Lebanon issue. Okay, so Hezbollah is in Lebanon. So these are the axis of resistance which is there. These are the rebel groups. Okay, various parts with various objectives. There are rebels group, and these is called the axis of you can say resistance, and all of them are against Israel. Okay, so that is why Hamas, Houthis and you can say the Hezbollah, this is the axis of resistance. So this is basically an Iran's axis of resistance. These are all Iran's proxies. Okay, Now Syria is core part of Iran's axis of resistance, a network of countries and the group that includes Hezbollah, Hamas and Houthis in Yemen that hope to destroy Israel and reduce American influence in the region. So Hezbollah and Iran are also helping the Syria, because when we are talking about Syria, as we have seen that USA was in the opposition, okay, so that is why they are supporting the government over here, okay. Then coming to the Israel, obviously Israel will be focusing more on the, you can say, when we are talking about the Lebanon issue, okay, so they were against Hezbollah over there. Hezbollah is supporting the Syria. Now Israel is happy about this particular thing which has happened right now, okay. Then Kurdish forces, Kurdish become the USA's main local partner in the fight against the Islamic State in Syria, okay. So they are fighting the Islamic State with the help of Kurdish militia over there, contended with their long time enemy, that is Turkey, which we have already seen. So this is the whole dynamics which is working in Syria, okay. So there are various stakeholders which we have discussed, all of them. So this is the issue with respect to Syria, and that much is enough for you to know, okay. Okay, anyway, and the PDF of this particular session will be provided to you after 3 to 4 hours in the Telegram group. So you can go and check the Telegram group, link is given in the description, so you can go and download the PDF from there. Now moving further, what is the Syrian war about? Now whatever we have discussed, I have written it down for you, because obviously you won't be able to remember all these things, all these stakeholders. So you can go through this particular slides over here, you can take a screenshot, or you can say we will be having the PDF anyways, okay. So this is one part. Second, over here, here we are talking about the Kurdish rebels and what are their goals and what kind of support they are getting. And here you will be seeing the next article for you, that is basically the new oil fields bill concern it raised about the states' rights. Now, why is that the oil field bill is raising concern about the states' rights? Because earlier we had the oil field bill act, okay. So we are changing some things over here. Whenever government is trying to change something and states are saying that they are having concerns, that means that the central government is trying to take more power, okay, or the central government is taking more of the things in their own control. Right now, when we are talking about the word that is mineral, when we are talking about this particular act, the Oil Fields Act, which is there since 1948, in that there are words like mineral mining lease, sorry, okay, the words like mining lease which are there, okay. When we are talking about the mining lease or the mining etc., recently Supreme Court has said that that is the sole state subject. If it is the state subject, that means that state has all the power, and now the center is trying to replace these words with the mining lease too. They are replacing it with the petroleum lease, okay. And when it comes to the petroleum or any kind of inflammable substance which are there like crude oil etc., that is sole you can say prerogative of the parliament or the central government, okay. So that is why states are having concern with respect to the changes in this particular bill, okay. Now we will be seeing what are the changes which are there. We will be taking an overview over here. So Rajya Sabha has passed the Oil Field Regulation and the Development Amendment Bill 2024 Oil Fields Bill last week, amended the Oil Field Regulation and the Development Act 1948, that is Oil Fields Act, which governs the exploration and the extraction of the natural gas, petroleum in the country, okay. So when we are talking about the oil fields, they are talking about the natural gas and the petroleum in the country. Now moving further, the center experts expects the amendment would increase the domestic production of the petroleum and the other minerals, push for the private investment in the sector to reduce the India's reliance on the imports, okay. We are the largest consumer of the oil, we can say among the largest, okay. And when we are talking about the imports, we are mostly more than 80%, we more than 80 or 85%, we are dependent on the imports, okay. So to decrease that particular reliance, we want that private investment should be there in this sector, and if private investment will be there, production might increase, and that is why this particular bill has been bought, okay. Now what are the amendments which which has been proposed in the bill? So first is expanding the definition of the mineral oil, okay. So earlier the current act, which when we are talking about the petroleum and the natural gas, are the only two which has been defined as mineral oil. In the new bill, they will be expanding the definition and they will be including the any natural occurring hydrocarbon, coal bed methane, shale gas or oil, all these things they will be including in the definition of the mineral oil, okay. And they will not include the coal, lignite and the helium occurring in association with the petroleum or the core shell, okay. So this they have give the exception, that is the coal, lignite and the helium which is coming with the petroleum you can say exploration. So they will be excluding those, but they will be including the coal bed methane, any kind of hydrocarbons which are coming along with that. Okay, so that is one, that is the expansion of the definition. Second is introducing the petroleum lease. As I told you earlier, the word mining lease was used. Mining lease. When we talk about the mining is a subject which is there in the state list. Okay, so here you can see Supreme Court has said that the state has exclusive power to tax mining activities and collect royalties from mining leaseholders. Entry 50 of the state list, which is there in the 7th schedule, entry 50 of the state list in the Indian Constitution, which gives state the power to impose tax on the mineral rights. So now what they are doing is they are saying that we will be replacing this mining lease to petroleum lease. What will happen then? When you will replace this, that means that you are going for the petroleum word. Okay, so however, if the mining lease are replaced with the petroleum lease in the Oil Field Act, the entry 53 of the union list will come into picture, and entry 53 of the you can say union list, that means that union government or the parliament will have the sole rights over there. Okay, gives parliament the power to create laws regarding the regulation and development of the oil fields and the mineral oil sources, petroleum products and other liquid and the substance declared by the parliament by law to be dangerously inflammable. Okay, so all those substances which are declared by the parliament as dangerously inflammable, that means that will be coming under the entry 53, and that is the sole prerogative of the parliament. So right now if they are replacing it with the petroleum lease, it will come under the 53 and ultimately the power will go to the parliament. Okay, so that is another thing. Coming to the next one, that is expanding the center's regulatory powers. Okay, so obviously if it is going in the 53, that means that obviously the powers of the center government will increase. Then coming to the next one, that is the decriminalization of the offences. There are various offences which were earlier there. For that you can say it was considered as crime, and there was you can say provisions for the penalty. I'm sorry, there were provisions for the penalty as well as the imprisonment as well. But now they have changed it, they have increased the penalty. Over here you can see bill seeks to scrap the criminal punishment for those who contravene the provision of the Oil Fields Act, replacing with the fines. Okay, currently there is 6-month imprisonment and the fine of rupees 1000, but now they are, you can say, replacing with the penalty up to 25 lakh with possibility of a future penalty of 10 lakh per day starting from the date of the first penalty if the violation persists. Okay, let's see, from the 1st of January they have started imposed a penalty over you, and you are still continuing with that particular crime or that particular violation of the provision. Okay, so per day 10 lakh rupees will be fine. Okay, so though this amount is a bit more, but the thing is that they have saying that they are decriminalizing the offense over here. Okay, second thing is, when you have seen that they are giving more power to the private players, that means that ultimately there are various opposition parties like communist party, etc. They are not very happy about it. Okay, they are giving more power to the, when government is giving more power to the, you can say, private players, that means that, and you are going for the decriminalization as well. So in these areas, like when we are talking about the oil, when we talk about the atomic energy, etc., so there should be more regulation. Okay, but there are more powers which are given in the private hands. Okay, so over here you can see why the bill is being criticized. Bill would affect the right of the states. We have seen how the rights of the states will be affected. Okay, because the word mining is being replaced with the only to take the rights, only to take away the rights of the states. We have seen that the mining is replaced with the petroleum. Second is, bill give private players a certain amount of discretion in how they operate. Okay, bill removes the possibility of the criminal punishment. We have also seen that public sector undertakings such as oil and natural gas corporations should given priority over the private players. That has been said by the, you can say, CPI leader somewhere over here. Okay, and larger role of the private companies in the oil and the petroleum sector could lead to the severe environmental impacts. Okay, so that is about, because obviously if the private players are in the industry, they might not think much about the environmental aspect as well. They will focus on the profit. Okay, so this is about your new oil field bill. Now we can move further to the next one. What is the debate over the alcohol sale in Nagaland's you can say famed Hornbill festival? Now we will not go into much into the issue of alcohol. Just know that Nagaland is a dry state. Okay, and most of the population over here, they are having this dominance of the Christianity over here. Okay, baptism, etc. So Pope or the fathers over here or the church over here does not want that there should be the sale of the alcohol in the Hornbill festival. Even the local women organizations, they do not want that, and that is the one of the reason why Nagaland is the dry state. But the government over here is saying that with that there will be a sale, because there are various tourists which are coming for the Hornbill festival. And when we are talking about the alcohol, they are specifically talking about the local variety of the alcohol which is being actually made over there. They are saying that that is part of the tradition and that should be actually put forward over there. Okay, so that is the issue between the government and the locals over there, or the church over there basically. Okay, so influential church bodies in the Nagaland, a dry state, have criticized the state government's decision to permit the sale of liquor at 25th Hornbill festival. Indian made foreign liquor, that is IMFL, and the traditional rice beer. Okay, so they are specifically talking about these two things. Now, what is the Nagaland's Hornbill festival? Now, this becomes important for you. This is you can say from your cultural point of view as well, because in the art and culture they ask about the festivals, etc. So that can be important. Other than that, from environment point of view, Hornbill is a bird which is basically having some cultural and the religious significance in Nagaland. Okay, so that is why they are celebrating this particular festival. Okay, now let's see. The Hornbill festival, organized by the state government, is Nagaland's largest public event. Started in 2000. Purpose was boosting the tourism and showcasing the Naga heritage and the culture, act as a unifying force within the state. Okay, so that is there. 14 recognized Naga tribes which are living in this particular area, each with their own tradition, practices and the major festivals. The Hornbill festival supposed to be an umbrella festival for all the tribes. Okay, there are different tribes which are living with different practices, different customs, etc., different festivals, but this particular Hornbill festival will be bringing them together under one umbrella, and they will be showcasing their culture in that particular festival. Okay, now what is the prohibition in law in Nagaland? So here you can say the complete prohibition was introduced in 1989 through NTLP Act. Okay, then church and the state's apex women organization, that is the Naga Mothers Association, NMA, they have actually vouched for it, and then it has become a dry state. While brewing a rice beer is an old cultural practice in Naga societies, the arrival of the American Baptist in Nagaland brought new moral code. From the 1989s onward, the consumption of alcohol was painted as a sin behavior, and transgressors were expelled from the community. So this is having roots which are there with the you can say invent of the Christianity in this particular area. Okay, so they have considered drinking as a sin, and now this is the result that Nagaland has become a dry state. Okay, now here you can see, so they are basically saying that alcohol should not be used in the this particular festival. Hornbill festival is a contested issue. This Hornbill festival is the only time in the dry state that the Tutse, that the name of the beer, that is rice beer, that is Tutse. Okay, Tutse or the rice beer is only sold and liberally consumed with the consent of the government, because otherwise it is a dry state. Now, organizers of the Hornbill festival defended the decision to allow the sale of the consumption of local beer on the ground that only any authentic representation of traditional ethnic life and the particular festival required it, because this festival is there to showcase the traditions. Okay, so this is the reason the government is vouching for it. Other than that, also with the sale of the alcohol, there are revenues which are generated. Okay, so that is one other thing which is there, which has not been discussed in this article anyway. Why the government is considering to rethink the state's prohibition law. Now, government is also rethinking to amend this particular law. Why is that? The kind of objective they wanted to have, that is the Nagaland should be, you can say, alcohol free, but that is not working. There are various, you can say, smuggling which is happening through the state of Assam, etc. They are smuggling the alcohol in this particular you can say state of Nagaland, and because of which Nagaland government is losing the revenue. Okay, if Nagaland government is going for the sale of the alcohol, that revenue will be theirs, but now the alcohol is coming from the Assam, and that is smuggling through the smuggling. So anyways, alcohol is available, and the thing is, revenue is also you are at the loss of the revenue as well. Okay, so that is why the Nagaland government is thinking about rethinking or the amending this particular act. Okay, now let's move further to the next one. Here what is important for you is that what is the Hornbill festival. They might ask you about this, they might not ask you about the alcohol, etc. They might ask you about this Hornbill festival. Other than that, they might ask you about the Tutse, that is your local rice beer, which is made in Nagaland traditionally. Now, why RBI hedged against the dollar reliance but no push for the de-dollarization? We have seen that recently Mr. Donald Trump has given a threat that if you are going for the de-dollarization or you are creating an alternative currency, so they might go for tariffs on the BRICS countries. Now, RBI is saying that we are not going for the de-dollarization, we are just hedging the prices so that rupee is not suffer, rupee does not suffer. Okay, so we will be seeing what are the, you can say, important things which I have taken from this article. Here you can see RBI governor clarified that the India isn't pursuing the de-dollarization but aim to reduce the risk tied to the US dollar in trade. With the US dollar, you know that most of the currencies fluctuate with the US dollar. Okay, so that is why we are being just cautious about the pricing, and that is why we are going for hedging and not for the de-dollarization. Okay, discussing among the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa on a shared currency remains inconclusive. In the Kazan summit which has happened with respect to BRICS, they were talking about an alternative currency to the dollar. Okay, and that currency will be there in BRICS countries, and they will be basically trying to replacing the dollar. So that is, these talks were inconclusive. So right now there is no such currency. Okay, India's approach, what India is doing when dollar is rising. So one thing is that you can say the RBI has gone for the hedging. RBI has said that the prices of dollar would be pegged at 84, 85 to 84, 95, something around that. Okay, this is not the right figure, but they have said that they will be hedging it. Okay, so that is how RBI intervened when the market, when we are talking about generally the exchange rate of the dollar or rupee, that is basically dependent on the market. But if there is some kind of chance where rupee might get hurt, so RBI can go for the safeguarding that and they will be hedging it. Okay, recently RBI has done that. Now, what is India's approach over here? So promotes transaction in the domestic currencies. There are, with Russia, with UAE, etc., and recently with, when we are talking about the Maldives also, we have gone for the currency swap agreements, etc. So with that, they are promoting the transaction in the domestic currency. Second thing is using Vostro account and the local currency trade agreements for the risk diversification. When we talk about this Vostro account, these are basically sovereign accounts of a country in our bank. Okay, so let's say if Russia is dealing with us and Russia has a surplus, so that surplus will not go to Russia. Russia will have a account in India, and in that account that surplus will go, and that will be adjusted in the trade. These accounts are called as Vostro accounts. Okay, now so we are using this Vostro account and the local currency trade agreements, trade swap or the currency swap agreements which are there. Now global shift to gold. All the central bank around the world, they are going for the acquisition of the gold, and India is leading in that list. India is acquiring gold in place of dollars. We are acquiring gold now. Okay, so that our forex is safe. Okay, so that is there. Now, impact of dollar dominance. Holding US dollar is a costly due to the rising US treasury yields and the inflation in the emerging economies. So if you are holding the dollars, that means it is becoming costly for you. So to make sure that you are not holding the dollars, we are going for the gold. Okay. Now, high transaction cost and the trade imbalance limits the uptake of India's rupee internationalization effort. We want to make sure that rupee becomes an international currency, but there are certain shortcomings which are there. Okay, we are not there yet. Okay, challenges, if we talk about low adoption of the rupee trade globally, there are only few countries like Russia, because Russia does not have an option right now. They are going through the sanctions, and that is why Russia is dealing with rupee. When we are talking about Iran has agreed to deal with the rupee back then when we had the agreement with them. Before the sanctions which has been put by the USA. So that was also the case because Iran also had the sanctions. Okay, recently when we talk about the Maldives is also debt ridden by the China, and they are also dependent on US dollars. So, and considering the forex crisis which has recently happened, they have gone for the currency swap agreement. So these are the, you can say, when we are talking about the leverages, then we are going for the agreements like that. But otherwise, if we look at the low adoption of the rupee in the global trade, that is not very high. Okay, India's trade deficit with the most countries except US limits the scope for the reducing dollar reliance. So we are still more reliant on the dollar. So that was the issue, because of which RBI has said that we are going for the hedging. Okay, and that we are not going for the de-dollarization. Okay. Now next is the moth make reproductive choices based on how plants sound. There is this study which is saying that plants actually create sounds. Okay, how? We will be seeing. On basis of these you can say sounds, these moths, okay, they are basically helping, they are going for the reproduction based on that, on which plant or where they want to do that. So that is basically depend on the kind of sound which actually plants are making. Okay, so let's see. Moth, specifically the Egyptian cotton leaf worm, can detect sound emitted by the plants. This is already established that plants emit sounds. Okay, female moth uses this sound to determine where to lay eggs, favoring plants in distress over healthy ones. So they will be laying eggs on the plant which is in distress. Okay, distress means that if there is a lack of water and there is dehydration. Okay, so in such cases they will go for that distressed plant and not for the healthy ones. Study builds on the earlier findings that the plant emit ultrasonic cries when they are under stress, such as dehydration. These sounds, though imperceptible when we are talking about the human ears, you won't be able to hear that. So these are imperceptible to humans, influence insect behavior. We cannot hear it, but insects can. Researchers tested moths using two tomato plants. One was hydrated and healthy, second was distressed and emitting distress sounds, and they have seen that they are preferring the stressed plants to lay the eggs. Okay, now here you can see experimental details. If we talk about, researchers tested moth using two tomato plants, which I have already told you. What are the implications? Now implications, it indicates that the moth can interpret the plant sounds using this ability to maximize reproductive success, suggest broader ecological interaction between the plants and the insects on the basis of the sound signals. Okay, so they might ask you in the UPSC just one simple statement, that do plants produce, you can say, these ultrasonic sounds. Okay, so that is what basically the objective of this particular article to discuss. One, that is plants do cry. Okay, they have their own sounds when they are in distress. Second thing is, these you can say moths, they are basically going for the reproduction when the plants are distressed. Okay, so please make sure that they will select the distressed plant and not the healthy one. So if they are asking you in the exam that moths will go and lay eggs on a healthy plant, that is the incorrect statement. Okay, so don't get confused. Now moving further to the next one, that is RBI holds key rate lower growth forecast and move to the boost liquidity. We have earlier talked about that RBI might not go for changing the repo rate. Okay, considering the inflation etc. So repo rate is same, that is 6.5%. Earlier I told you that CRR, that cash reserve ratio, that basically the banks are keeping some money with the Reserve Bank of India. Let's say if there is a bank which is having the deposits, net deposit we are talking about, net time and you can say cost deposit which are there. So net deposit, whichever banks are having, they have to keep 4.5% with the RBI in cash, in liquidity. Okay, so that is basically your cash reserve ratio. Now recently the you can say RBI has lowered it to 4%. RBI has said that will be done in two phases, 25 basis points, 25 basis points. Okay, so that they will be doing it I guess on the 14th December 2024 and the 28th December 2024. Okay, so basically they will be going for the CRR to be 4%. Okay, so right now you will be seeing that repo rate is 6.5%, CRR is 4%. Other than that, there was one issue that we have seen, that the RBI has projected the growth rate to be 7.2% for the next year. But in the last quarter, we have seen that the growth rate was somewhere around 5.4%. Okay, considering that RBI said that the growth rate this time will be lower, so they have gone for the 6.5%. Sorry, they have gone for the lesser. Here you can say GDP growth estimates to be 6.6%, not 6.5, 6.6%. Okay, so this is the article which is talking about. There are three things. Repo rate is same. Cash reserve ratio has been decreased, because if the cash reserve ratio is decreased, that means that more money will be with the banks. They have to keep less with the RBI. If more money is with the bank, that means that they can go for more loans. More loans with more means more investment, and ultimately investment means growth. Okay, so that is about this particular article. Now moving further to the next one. These are just passing references. Okay, Trump's plans to deport all the illegal immigrants from USA. This is nothing new, which we have discussed various times. Okay, here he has said that after he is into the office, he will do first thing that he will remove the illegal immigrants which are there more than for 4 years. Okay, that is one thing. He will be excluding the dreamers. There is this category, that is dreamers. Okay, so he will be excluding these dreamers because the thing is these are contributing to their economy. Okay, when we are talking about, let's say, a person who is in the IT, okay, and he is going to the USA for job. Now right now he may be illegal immigrant, but he is a dreamer, he is contributing to the economy. That is why that American dream concept you must have heard of. Okay, so he will be exploring the dreamers. Now how will they decide on that, I don't know, but the thing is that has been the statement. Okay, so that is about the Trump plans to deport all the illegal immigrants. Second thing is Trump calls for immediate Ukraine ceasefire. Recently there was this new church, I guess the name was uh, hold on, it will be somewhere over here. So in France there was this reopening of a particular place, and on which Mr. Trump and the you can say Ukrainian president, they have met over here. Yes, that is Notre Dame Cathedral. Okay, so earlier there was some kind of fire incident which has happened, and they have gone for the renovation, and this was reopening of this particular place was there. And US the upcoming president, that is Donald Trump, and the Ukrainian president Zelensky, they have met over there, and Mr. Trump has called for the immediate Ukraine ceasefire. He has said that I know Mr. Putin and he is a reasonable man, and they should go for the ceasefire. Okay, so that is what has been discussed in the international relations recently. Other than that, here you can see South Korea, Yoon survived the impeachment bid after his party boycott vote, and he has gone for the public apology for the action he has taken. He has actually imposed martial law, and the parliament has revoked it, and after that the parliament has gone for the resolution of the impeachment, but he has survived the impeachment. Okay, so that is what we have seen earlier. Now passing reference to another thing, that is the CGI led bench to hear pleas against the Places of Worship Act. We have discussed it various times, and now Supreme Court will be hearing this pleas with respect to the Places of Worship Act, and once they are coming up with the judgment, we will be discussing it again. In the polity this week, you can say, when we are talking about this particular program polity this week, what we do is that we discuss all the developments which has happened in the last week in one video. That video will be around 35 to 40 minutes, but we will be discussing all the important development in the field of polity which has happened in India. So in that, in the last week, we have discussed the Places of Worship Act as well. Okay, now in the end, there is one article for your read, that is how the Supreme Court hear cases. Okay, we know that there is pendency etc which is there, but recently our president has talked about something. So India's top court carries enormous burden of cases. How does it decide which case to hear and prioritize? What inform the policy of Chief Justice of India to take a pendency? Okay, so that has been discussed in this article. You can go through this and make your own notes. Okay, so with that, today's discussion is over. We will be going for the practice question for you. So here is the question. The Hornbill festival is celebrated in which Indian state? Manipur, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh and Meghalaya. So you can attempt this question and answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, have a good day. Thank you and study well.